Hi, this is Matt from State of Flux and Mike from Burn It Down and Leave podcast.
Hello, everybody.
We are here to talk to you about B-movies. We both have an interest in B-movies, bad cinema, call it what you want. Grindhouse, I guess, is sort of a now 20-year-old term. Mm-hmm. Man, wow. Okay, anyway. I just wanted to talk to you about that because I think it's fun to share in the love of movies that are kind of not beloved by the whole.
Right.
Do you have any ones that you really like?
We're going to start off with the one that's my favorite movie.
Okay.
And it's also one that you've seen people leave.
Oh.
And it's The Empty Man.
Oh, yes.
And so that's my interpretation. Like, modern movies don't feel like B movies because they all mostly look good.
Yeah.
But like that's a B movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, that's my favorite movie ever. It's like just the perfect horror movie.
I didn't know
to me.
that. That's your favorite movie ever?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because, well, I mean, you know me, I hate everything. But it's just a super good movie. It doesn't have like a lot of like gore or anything, which is fine. But they did what they set out to do. They had creepy parts and they had an interesting story, which is like rare for like big budget, like not just jump scares or whatever. I don't think there's a single jump scare in that movie.
No, not really. I loved the first half hour of that movie.
Right.
Up until the movie says The Empty Man, and then
you realize that was just intro?
Yeah, that was an intro that's never referenced again. But yeah, that is kind of like the definition of a B movie. It is definitely not mainstream. Like the fact that got theatrical release is only because of COVID.
Right.
There's no way that would have hit theatrical had COVID not been a thing.
Yeah, and it definitely was one of those movies that people walked out of before that 20-minute even intro finished. And that wasn't uninteresting. That's the sad part. That was kind of interesting, but I know what made people want to leave. It was the big, day one that came on, and they're like, oh, God. But yeah, then it turns into a detective story.
Yeah.
But that also was interesting if you could almost just have it be that.
I should rewatch that movie, because I saw it the one time. I was so invested in that first part, and then I was just so put off that it didn't seem to have much to do with anything else in the rest of the movie. And so I kind of kept waiting to jump back to that.
That's one of the ones that at the end, now that you know how it ends, watching it again and seeing the choices that are made makes more sense.
Yeah. What other movies do you have? Do you have, what was the one that I always confuse The Empty Man with from years before that opens with the shotgun?
I don't know.
It's
not the Bye-Bye Man.
The Bye-Bye Man.
Okay.
That's a terrible movie, but I do like the opening scene of that one as well.
And that's another reason why The Empty Man was bad, is because you can't name a movie The Anything Man.
No, it's true.
The only movie you can name that would make people go to it is The Candy Man, and that's because it has a history.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, The Empty Man, The Slender Man, The Bye-Bye Man, the Boogie Man, that most recent Stephen King one.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a B movie, but that may be.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's really, really good.
It's coming on Hulu next week, and so I will be watching.
Oh yeah, definitely
stay tuned for that review.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I have another one that came on in the most recent years, Underwater.
Underwater. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
And
I remember you and James recommending that one to me. I never watched it.
Yeah, that one was really good. It's sci-fi. It's about an underwater facility that does research, and it starts collapsing.
Okay.
Because something is attacking the research center. And they have to walk across the bottom of the ocean to the other research center.
Yeah.
And Cthulhu type monsters live underwater. So maybe that's what's attacking them.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to see that one. I remember you guys really plugging away at that one.
And it's got Bella from Twilight, whose name escapes me.
I think of her as Princess Diana now.
What's her name?
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart, thank you.
Yeah.
And it has that guy that everybody.
Star Trek.
It has that one actor that plays the bartender in Deadpool that kind of went nuts for a little bit.
T.J. Miller?
Yeah, so that's kind of a downer, but you can get over that.
Would you say that sinks the movie? Under one?
No, it kind of crushes it, and it's a funny reference when you watch the movie.
Okay, right on.
You hooked me up with one.
Okay, so when I think of B movies, I grew up in the 80s and 90s in the video rental days. So I would always look for the great covers for movies that never were nearly as good as the cover.
Right.
We're talking like the first Troll, not Troll 2, but the first
Right.
Troll had the troll with the ball. That was a great cover. So I rented that, and I watched that movie way more than anybody has the right to watch that movie.
That's what's funny when you're younger too. You
Yeah.
watch these and they just seem so much better than they are because you're not as critical about the visuals.
I am petrified to go back to watch that movie. I have not watched it since the VHS days, but I have that burning desire to revisit it, and I'm sure it's just a terrible idea.
Well, so speaking of older movies, now it's older, like from the 90s. It's also one of the ones that's like people know,
Yeah.
but it's impossible to find, and it's Dead Alive.
It is hard to find.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once, and I want to revisit it.
I watched it this morning.
Whoa!
It's on the Internet Archive,
Okay.
and so you can find it on there, and you have to search for a while because otherwise it's in Spanish. But that movie, when I was younger, all I remember is the lawnmower scene.
Yeah.
So watching it again today, I'm like, he spends almost this whole movie just doing the dumbest possible thing. And it's a movie about being like afraid of your mother.
I don't remember that. All I remember is the weird mouse thing.
The rat monkey.
The rat monkey that's referenced a couple times in King Kong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's from Skull Island.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. The Peter Jackson King Kong. And then I remember stuff with the mom. I do remember there was like a weird plot with the mom. And then I just remember the absolute chaotic ending with the lawnmower.
And there's like a blender.
Yeah.
There's like a baby zombie. It's way funnier than I thought it was when I was younger.
Okay.
It's definitely a comedy,
Okay.
but it has some Evil Dead influence.
It definitely does, yeah.
Honestly, while watching it, I was like, who'd win, a Deadite or these zombies? Because they're basically invincible.
Okay.
The only way to kill them is to chop them up like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're like crawling around and then like their organs fall out and then they become zombies.
There's a lot of Evil Dead influence and a lot of Peter Jackson stuff, even in Lord of the Rings.
It makes sense. And that Dead Alive came out in 92, I think. So
Yeah.
it's not, that far off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one that's more popular, but
Okay.
also impossible to find. So people may know of it or just see clips on the internet. It's definitely worth watching the whole thing.
That's good to know. I'm gonna try and track it down. Maybe you'll get a review of that soon. I do want to go through like entire Peter Jackson library someday and do reviews. Another one that I absolutely love and will defend to this day is Ghoulies 2. Have you ever seen Ghoulies 2?
No.
It's famous for having the cover of the little monster in a toilet.
Okay, yeah.
Most people can recall that image pretty easily. The first movie is hot garbage. Absolutely just effing horrible. Nothing worth watching. Ghoulies 2 has nothing to do with the first one outside of it has some of the same Ghoulies.
Okay.
And it takes place at a carnival, and I love it. I own this movie on Blu-ray because I wanted the maximum quality I could for that film.
Are they wreaking havoc at this carnival?
They are, and the carnival is completely dying and fading away, and especially this fun house. And so they're going to lose the fun house because a corporate dude comes in and wants to find a way to maximize profits, and this haunted house isn't going to do it. So suddenly, the Ghoulies make the haunted house scary, which is hilarious because they're so not scary. But they are what gets the public there, and suddenly they're the main attraction.
Okay.
But then they start killing the guests. And it's like a really hard PG-13 or the softest R ever.
Like Oppenheimer?
Like, yeah. This, I think, is more believable than Oppenheimer because Oppenheimer has the most science fiction element I've ever seen in a movie is a woman stopping mid-coitus to pull a book off the rack and it's like, read it to me.
Never had that happen to you?
I was like, I believe a lot of things in movies, but my suspension of disbelief in that moment is completely shattered.
We all knew she couldn't read. Well, that's why he had to read it too. Oh, darn, I knew it.
That's good.
Ghoulies 2. See, this is also a secret way for me to get a list that I want.
I hope you watch Ghoulies 2. It's got some of the acting I've ever seen.
It has acting.
It has.
That's what I hope in a movie.
And some of them are good.
Here's a movie with acting.
Yeah.
It is a movie that I did for my podcast. And how I found it one day was, for whatever reason, it was on Netflix.
Okay.
And it came up on my recommended because I only watch garbage things. And I was like, okay, we were gonna do Fight Club, but then I saw this recommendation and I ran over to my friend's house and was like, we have to watch this movie. You're not allowed to look at it until it turns on, and nobody can see it. Zoombies.
Zoombies?
It's like a low budget movie. It's about all these interns that come to work at a zoo, and then the zoo got infected with zombie virus, so all the animals are zombies, and it's a zoo zombie movie, and it's so good. It's genuinely fun to watch. It's just low budget. You can see the gorilla as a man in a costume. You can see his shoes, and then they reuse some of the background actors multiple times. It's just kind of really fun to watch.
I am going to research that. Speaking of that one, I saw one earlier this year that I just didn't get a chance to shoot the review of, so
Armageddon.
Here it's coming. No, I do want to see that. That is in my Amazon queue.
It's also in mine.
No, this is Aquarium of the Dead.
Okay.
I was on vacation at a hotel, and they had the biggest library of movies I've ever seen free for streaming. And Alicia, my wife, was like, let's watch something. Pick something we've never seen before. And that was her mistake. I chose
the craziest option.
I chose Aquarium of the Dead. And it's so bad, but I loved it so much. It's got the worst digital fish ever. But there's a disease that hits the aquarium, and suddenly they all turn dead, but they're able to break through the aquarium glass and stuff like that, all off camera because you can't.
Nobody has the money to do that.
Yeah, it's not there. But it's almost Birdemic-like in its special effects.
Oh, okay.
But the actors are committed to it so hard that they unlike Birdemic, the actors are trying to be in the biggest movie they can. It's fabulous. It's so bad.
Not to sidebar you, but I'm going to. Did I tell you that the girl from Birdemic follows me on Twitter?
What?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's loop her in on this.
I should. I should call her. I don't know her phone number, but I'll tweet her.
She was my favorite part of the movie.
She's the only good part in the movie, other than Robot Man.
She is the best part of the movie. I firmly agree.
She was also the makeup artist in that, because the makeup artist quit. So she had to do the makeup and do her acting.
Did you ever see the second one?
Oh God, no.
I never saw the second one.
No, because
I couldn't do it.
You can't do it. It's the same reason why you can watch Sharknado 1, but then if you watch the other ones, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Because they know that it's bad.
Yeah. I never got into the Sharknado. I watched the first one and I didn't think it was even fun bad.
Yeah.
But
I think it was trying to be real.
Yeah, I do too. It was trying to be as real as a sci-fi original could.
Like Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus?
Yes.
I wouldn't even count that as a B movie.
No, that's a Z movie.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi. I like it. All right, do you have any good stories of how you came to discover a B movie? Your Zombie story. I have two pretty good stories.
You go first and I'll look at my list and see if I have any ideas.
So I came about I went to college with friends, and when we were at the college just roaming around campus one day, we discovered that they had soundproof booths made for like editing, but they also had the video software and stuff, and we were like, huh, you can just watch movies in here completely uninterrupted and nobody can stop you because it looks like you're like working. So we went to the video store, which was within walking distance of our college, and we did the 5 movies for $5 rental. And we would flip a coin to determine whether or not to go to class or watch a movie in the soundproof booth. I didn't do very well in my first term of college.
I wonder why.
But we went there and they entrusted me to pick 5 movies. So I went straight to the horror section because that's where you go. And I grabbed Monkey Shines, Chud, Xtro, Xtro, I don't know how to pronounce it. The movie never addresses it.
Why would you need to?
I don't remember what the other 2 movies were, but the first thing we did was put on Monkey Shines. Have you ever seen Monkey Shines?
I've seen parts of it, but not the whole thing.
It's a movie directed by George Romero of the Dead movies, not the Living Dead and whatnot. And by all accounts, it's a well-regarded movie, which is weird. It's a movie about a man who gets, in the opening scene, just horrifically hit by like a car or a bus or something like that and becomes a quadriplegic. And then the movie is about his helper monkey that has fallen madly in love with him and has a jealous rage and tries to kill all the people in his life that are closer. And it takes itself 100% seriously. It has no ounce of irony in it.
That movie is one of the ones that I couldn't watch as a young person. My mom was allowing it. That box cover doesn't look like it's a good movie.
It is the only movie I've ever seen with a quadriplegic sex scene. Well, a monkey angry.
Okay, well, okay, I'm like, I think there's other ones, but okay, with the monkey.
The monkey angry watches it whenever it cuts back with the sinister music. It's my favorite thing in the world. But that was how we started our journey.
Just living the life, and then now look at you. Failed the first year of college and living the dream.
It's so good. Chud was the other movie that we watched during that Chud and Xtro. We watched all 3 just back to back. We plowed.
They let you stay in that booth that long?
Yeah, nobody addressed it.
That's crazy.
We watched it was nuts. But yeah, Chud is a movie about cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. That's what it stands for. Sort of. It doesn't actually. But that movie, I'm convinced James Cameron stole aspects of Chud to put into Aliens.
Probably.
Like, it has when the people flood the sewers, like there's army men flooding the sewers, they have like the body cam footage and stuff like that in the health bar, and they're all getting picked off. Came out 2 years before Aliens. Yeah, the movie opens with John Goodman getting just killed. And the main character of the movie is Daniel Stern from Home Alone. He's the tall burglar.
Okay.
He's the main character. At one point he's trying to call somebody, and a operative out of nowhere comes out and hits the eject money, the coin return, and just eats the man's quarter so that he can't make a phone call.
That's one way to do it, I guess.
No dialogue is said between the 2. They just stare at each other for the longest time. It's my favorite scene in all of cinema.
Is it really?
It was just such a laugh out loud moment that I couldn't believe this went through rounds of people. It does have a pretty solid samurai sword fight in a shower against one of the Chud.
You can't ask for more than that, really, honestly. I don't think I have a single story where, other than that Zoombies one.
Interesting.
Is The Howling a B movie? Or was that a mainstream horror movie?
I think it was a B movie that became mainstream. There are several of those. You have
I know The Howling 2 is the one that everybody watches for funny.
The first one is a legit good movie.
Yes.
I like that movie. I actually talked about that movie in my previous review in Cujo, because they both star Dee Wallace.
Well, so for The Howling, let's just get into this. My dad somehow buys every B movie you can find.
Yeah.
because it's in the $5 bin.
Oh, yeah.
So he'll know that it's like, hey, this movie sounds like one I've heard of. And so then I'll have like this collection of things. And so The Howling was one of them, because he thought it was about whatever he thought it was about, a werewolf, I hope, because that's what it is. But when I first watched it, it was me and my friend, and we watched it in a tent in the middle of the woods, in like a horrible stormy night, like the tent is gonna float away, and we're just watching this movie, and I just remember thinking, this isn't very scary. I'm more afraid of dying in this woods. But that was my experience with The Howling.
Did you ever have like that fear of like, if I do die right now, this is the last movie I've ever seen? Like, it's what a shame.
No, because I thought it was okay, and we watched it more than once.
Oh my god!
So, because it's not that bad.
I've never seen the sequels. I only saw the first one and I loved it.
I'm talking about the first one.
Oh, okay.
Howling 2 is god awful.
Okay, the first Howling is great.
Yeah, the first one's good, but I didn't think it was that scary because I was more afraid of drowning and floating away
Yeah.
into the ocean. But not many. I probably told you this story before. It has nothing to do with the movie. But we would do stupid crap in the woods like that, and my friend got glow-in-the-dark shoes. We were like 15 years old. Did I tell you this?
No.
So we would walk around the campground at like midnight, and we were like, let's just use the light of your glow-in-the-dark shoes to see in the woods.
Yeah.
We had flashlights with us, but we didn't use them unless we absolutely needed to. We're walking through the woods, and then we're maybe like half a mile away from the campground in the woods in the dark, no light, and we just hear rustling
Yeah.
and somebody going, and then we like whip around, we're like, nobody's there. We're like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Keep walking. Got our flashlights just in case now. Don't turn them on yet. Then we hear rustling. We whip around, flip the flashlights on, there's a woman crawling towards us on the ground.
What the fud?
In the woods. And then we're like, what are you doing? And then she immediately gets up and goes, I can't find my campsite. And that's what she's whispering at us, but we couldn't understand what she was saying. And then we're like, what do you mean you can't find your campsite? Like, we're so far away from the campground right now. And she's crawling through the woods, and she saw us and just started crawling after us. That, if she, we helped her back to the campsite.
Yeah.
But if she would have just kept crawling after we asked her what she was doing, I think I would have died. And then maybe I would have been like, dang, the last movie I watched was What Lies Beneath. Or whatever it was. But, so that's probably why The Howling ain't that scary to me, because there's ladies crawling through the woods.
That's a great moment to start a horror movie.
Just, hey, you know, maybe we could use it someday. I don't know why I went on the tangent. It just made me think of it.
No, that is amazing. So, how about this one? You have like your A movies, and they should be A movies, but somehow get delivered as B movies. I'm thinking specifically of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes.
This is a sequel to a movie that was one of the more successful movies of 1995. Got a sequel with somehow, and don't ask me how, a bigger budget, because it does not show on camera. Like, the set design, the performances, nothing is like adequate in that second movie.
No, I don't remember. Did they CGI Jax's arms in the second one?
Yeah, he has his arms in the second one.
See, that's where all the money went.
But they were not CG. They were like
Just
like
tin
foam
foil.
arms.
Okay. Okay. Because that's the one where they like are in like the desert and he's fighting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one's bad.
It's so bad.
The first one's actually fun.
The first one's a great movie. I genuinely, still to this day, think it's the best video game movie made.
So this is a B movie then. It's that Power Rangers 1. Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
The Secret of the... No, not
No, that's Teenage Mutant Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles. But
Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, it's just called the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Yeah.
That is my favorite movie to watch just for fun.
It's
Ivan Ooze
bad.
is so good. No, man. When was the last time we watched it?
It's been years. I was actually toying with rewatching it.
Trust me.
Last
Trust
time I
me.
watched it, I just remember getting so upset that the Pink Power Ranger has nothing to do in the movie outside of sit still, look pretty. And then when she finally has her own action movie in her Zord, the only thing she does is kick the guy in the crotch.
Oh, yeah.
And
then she just shoots it once with her little gun.
Yeah.
I'll have you know that most of the Power Rangers don't do a single thing in that movie other than the White Ranger.
Yeah, that's true. I also like that in that movie, this is the first time they are, and they promoted it as like the must-see event, Power Rangers on the big screen. Nothing is canon in that movie. They go from that movie back into the show, and they change how they get the costumes and how they get the new Zords. None of that movie actually carried through, so it wasn't the must-see event. It was like, if you saw it, it was more of a distracting.
It's so much better. Ivan Ooze is genuinely my hero. Acted. He's my hero. He's like, all the things I've missed. He's like, the Black Plague, the whatever, the Brady Punch reunion, and he's like zapping Zordon. And then the White Ranger throws his sword to cut down like this thing, and it flies into the air. And it looks like it's going to cut it, but then it goes stick straight and shoots lasers out of its eyes. And I'm like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. It's genuinely fun to watch, and then you really, really feel for Ivan Ooze, and you really want to. If he wasn't evil, like trying to take over the world, his plan wasn't that bad. Yeah.
I do remember the guy playing Ivan Ooze understood the assignment, and he had so much fun playing that character.
Especially because earlier in the movie, he actively transforms into somebody as a disguise. And then later he goes, I'm a master of disguise. He's like, you may have forgotten I'm a master of disguise. And then the pig guy goes, how could I forget? I never knew. And his disguise is just him wearing a wizard hat. And it's not even any different.
I need to rewatch that one. I remember liking the second one better because the second one brought back Jason, and Jason and Kimberly were my two favorite characters. But I also hated that movie because they wrote in a little boy to become the new, like, what was it, Blue Ranger or something like that. And then it was all about cars, and I don't like cars. But
Power Rangers 2 Turbo is not as good, and it's on a ghost ship.
Why? So here's the thing. Side tangent.
It's turning into Power Ranger Hour.
As it should. Why, when they see that something is aimed for children, like Power Rangers and stuff, why do they always shit can one of like the adult characters and then write a posit child character as if we want to watch the child interact with all these things?
Do you want to know why for this, or do you want to have its own video? Because there's a huge reason why that happened.
I'm sure it's because they think that we can live vicariously through the boy, but I don't care about any. I've never, even as a kid, didn't relate to or like any of the children characters. I like the effing adults. That's why, and they're adults. They were like 15, played by 37-year-olds.
So the reason they got rid of the Blue Ranger is because he was gay and they were beating him up or whatever.
I remember that.
And then they got the kid because they thought that the same reason you said they could live through that and they'd sell more toys, and they wanted to have a drastic difference between the characters so that it wouldn't be like somebody kind of looks like the other guy. They wanted to be like, this is the new Blue Ranger now because the other one's gone. It's a huge mess. Its own episode.
Yeah, it is. It's sad, and I like that, dude. Did you watch the back on Power Rangers? Did you watch the Power Ranger special on Netflix?
No. Is it the one where they all come back?
They all come back,
the
being
first
two
people.
of them.
Well, some of them are dead and some are in jail, right? So they all came back.
Yeah.
Did Kimberly come back?
No.
Then I don't want to watch it.
It was just the Blue Ranger and the Black Ranger. But to be fair, neither of them have come back for anything in such a long time. And then the Yellow Ranger came back in the opening scene and immediately dies. And the whole thing is about them dealing with the death of Trini.
Okay.
And and they find a way to bring back Kimberly, Jason, and Tommy without actually physically bringing them back. They show them in costume. They never show them out of costume, but then they reuse voice and stuff. So it does feel like they have a presence and are there. However, it is also weird that immediately Rita is able to take down Tommy, Jason, and Kimberly. so that they're like sidelined throughout the entire adventure.
Listen, I've always said this from the very beginning. If they never grow big, they would always lose every single fight because they always are losing until they get in the Zord. The only reason that they're strong is because of the Zord.
It's true.
They've never won a fight on the ground.
It's true.
There's 5 of them, and they are getting beat up by one guy in a lobster costume. And then he's like, all right, now that you're mostly dead, I'm going to turn giant. And now you can get your dumb robot with a big dumb sword, and then it kills me. Every single episode.
It's wild. And their weapons. Their weapons are...
Yeah, they shoot lasers out their hilt.
Their weapons are meaningless.
The only reason I watch Power Rangers is because I had a crush on Kimberly.
That was everybody ours.
I know, right? So she ain't in the new one, I ain't watching it.
That said, she's writing a new Power Ranger thing for the 30th anniversary that's happening currently.
Okay.
So that's what she's up to. Right on.
So speaking of sweet things I love.
Yes.
Let's talk about Nick Cage. Because on my list, he's in 3 movies.
Let's hear him.
The first one is one of my favorites to watch. Drive Angry, shot in 3D.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
I have seen it once. I don't know that I've actually seen it. I've seen the first 5 minutes once. I paid money from Blockbuster to rent this movie.
And you should have watched the whole thing.
And then I stopped it after that.
Oh.
Patrick Lussier, man. He doesn't know how to direct a movie.
He does, because that movie's good.
Maybe he does.
So I have a 3D I had a 3D TV. When this movie came out, I had it in 3D. It's garbage.
Yeah.
But it's the best.
Oh,
but the movie, regardless if it's shot in 3D or not, it also has Amber Heard in it.
Yeah.
But this is before. Nick Cage only took that role because he wanted to drink out of a skull. And so then they said, sure, and then he did it. The premise is that he has to go save like his granddaughter, so he drives his muscle car out of hell, and then like the Grim Reaper has to hunt him down, but he is going and killing everybody in this cult that has his granddaughter. It is genuinely a good movie, and it's like at one point he meets this waitress, Nick Cage meets this waitress at a bar, brings her back to his hotel room, and she goes, "Aren't you gonna take your clothes off?" And he goes, "I never disrobe before a gunfight." And then he immediately, she gets like shot, and then it's just a huge fight, and he's like ready. And I'm like, this is so good. And it's interesting, the Grim Reaper character, I don't know the actor's name, but he's in things. He like would flip this coin like he was like Karen from the River Styx. And then whatever, when he catch it, it would turn into like an FBI badge or like whatever he wanted to show them. And I was like, that's interesting. He's like a good character for like what he's doing. I don't know. It's a good movie.
I have a sidebar about that movie. I worked at a video store when that movie came out. The one that I actually would rent my 5 movies right by my college. I ended up working at that video store. When that movie came out, my boss, the owner, decided not to get a copy of Drive Angry so that we could get extra copies of just generic porn movies because she felt that they would sell better. So
probably did.
Absolutely.
But also,
that was the only thing
shame.
that kept us open. We survived. We outlasted Blockbuster and stuff like that.
It's a shame that happened, but also, you got to keep your business open.
Yeah.
But man, it's on my list for a reason, and I own it on Blu-ray.
I will watch it. What are your other 2, Nick Cage? I have one that I want to talk about briefly.
The Color Out of Space.
I haven't seen it. I've heard it's good.
It is good. It's Nick Cage is in it, but he's not like, he was cast perfectly because he's not a crazy person for most of the movie, but he develops into being more demented. Not necessarily because he's evil or something. It's just, the plot of the movie progresses. But it has like body horror in it. It has a very The Thing type situation. It's a pretty solid movie. The only thing wrong with it is that it kind of drags on at the beginning.
Okay.
But if you go through it, I mean, it looks good. I would say that the practical effects of the stuff in it really matches up with like a big budget movie for what it is. It's definitely a must watch if you like Lovecraftian things because that's a Lovecraft story.
Yeah.
And they do the best like F you to Lovecraft ever. They add a character who's black. And I'm just like,
I love
Good.
it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, there's like this character that's not in the story that adds to the story, but also is a black person.
That's amazing.
Everybody knows that H.P.
Yeah.
Lovecraft hates black people.
It was
So
sad.
I was like, good, throw it in his face, moron. And then the last one on my list is one was kind of popular, Willy's Wonderland.
I haven't seen that one either. I've also heard good things.
Don't expect high cinema. He does not say a single word in the entire movie.
That's what I have heard.
But it's about, he goes into this place, he's captured there overnight, essentially, and he has to clean it, and he's possessed robotic dolls try to kill him, and he just fights them off and keeps cleaning. It's kind of super good.
Interesting. Are they going to cross it over with Five Nights at Freddy's?
It's definitely not going to cross over, but it was heavily inspired by it.
Sure.
That movie looks like hot garbage.
Full disagree. I am so excited for it.
Really?
I've never played it. I've never played the game. I'm excited for that movie. I think it looks good.
Knowing-
But I love Matthew Lillard. So
Knowing what the game is,
yeah.
and knowing what this movie is, if you don't know what the game is, like if you know the premise of the game, that's fine. But if you know how you play it, this movie looks like it will not work right.
Interesting. I love both Elizabeth Leal.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the first season of You. And I love Matthew Lillard. Anytime he's in something, it's not always good, but he always commits 150%, and I love Matthew Lillard, so I will watch it because of him.
I'm gonna watch it regardless.
Yeah.
And I would love to be wrong.
That is the movie I'm most excited for the rest of the year besides Wonka, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie.
I have no interest in that movie.
It's from the director of Paddington.
I have no interest in Paddington.
You should watch the Paddington movies.
Is there singing in it? Because I hate
There's
singing.
not.
Okay.
They are great movies. Absolutely,
All right.
genuinely
Tricking
great
me into
movies.
watching something.
No, I promise you.
Talking animals.
I
so
have
hate
never
that.
laughed so hard than in Paddington 2. Like it's just like a sight gag kind of joke where he's cleaning windows, and it is so laugh out loud funny, and I can't express how good Paddington and Paddington 2 are.
Well, you know me, I hate talking animals, so we better hope this is good.
It's genuinely good. I think it'll turn you around on at least Paddington.
Okay. I thought you were saying talking animals. I'm like, absolutely not. And if they're
It's not
singing
gonna
too,
No.
get them out of here.
I don't remember any musical numbers. I could be horrifically wrong, but I don't think that there is. The Nick Cage movie, have you ever seen? I think it's called The Last Kiss. It's a vampire.
The Vampire's
Kiss. Have
Yes.
you seen that one?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Why does he say the alphabet?
Why does he say it?
Yeah.
Because he's yelling at this girl because she put the file in the wrong folder.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be in alphabetical order.
I know.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Hey, he's just screaming it.
What was written in the script? Like, that's what I want to know. Did he just decide to
probably-
riff?
I almost for certain know they say, A, B, C.
Yeah.
But then he just kept going to
What?
the rest.
Why would they keep that in? That's what
Because
I
it's
want.
awesome. Because that movie's about a man that thinks he's turning into a vampire.
Yeah.
Not that he is a vampire, but thinks he's turning into one.
I bought it on DVD because I like Once Bitten. They had the two of them coupled into one package. So I've seen The Vampire's Kiss once.
Okay.
And then I like Once Bitten. Once Bitten's pretty good. That's Jim Carrey's vampire movie from...
Never saw that one.
That one's like either 86 or 88. It's Jim Carrey turning into a vampire. And
Thinks he is or is turning?
he is turning into a vampire. And it's pretty fun. Like, if you like really early Jim Carrey movies, that one and Earth Girls Are Easy are the two to go that most people don't know about because they're B movies. Earth Girls Are Easy is great. It's Jim Carrey, Damon Wayans, and Jeff Goldblum, who are aliens from other planets that are furry and specific color. So Jeff Goldblum is a blue fuzzy alien, Jim Carrey is a red fuzzy alien, and Damon Wayans is a yellow fuzzy alien. And they fall in love with, oh my gosh, Gina Davis.
Okay.
And there is a random musical number for no reason about Valley Girls, and then they have makeovers and become good-looking superstars, and then she falls in love with Jeff Goldblum, who speaks really weird. It's a great movie.
Okay, I'll have to tip that on my list.
Yeah.
I think Vampire's Kiss is about the problem with mental health.
Oh, I don't remember. I watched it. I don't
He
remember.
goes about his fake vampire teeth so that he can bite people.
I saw it once.
Then he
and
tries
the
staking
only
himself
thing-
in his own house.
I vaguely remember that. The only thing I truly remember is
The
like
alphabet.
the alphabet, because I was like, cut. Why are we not cutting? Why is this in here?
There's multiple scenes in that movie of him doing something very similar to that. Which is fun because that's not the only vampire movie he's in.
Yeah.
And I liked Renfield.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a B movie, would it? It would be, but it's popular.
Yeah. B movies can be popular.
That's true.
But like Evil Dead 2 is certainly a B movie. From
Yes.
Dusk Till Dawn is like a B movie. But as I say, those ones kind of get like the grindhouse.
Right.
Like,
Well, they're cult movies now,
Yeah.
but they still were B movies.
yeah.
Renfield was pretty fun.
I still haven't seen that one. I should watch it.
Nothing crazy.
Why do you like B movies? What?
Well,
is your-
one, most of them are horror movies to me.
Yeah.
And I just
agree.
like horror movies. My main goal in any movie is for it to be newish,
Yeah.
like storyline wise, like plot, like a
Yeah.
fresh plot. Or dabbling in a concept that hasn't been worked on a ton.
Yeah.
So you don't get a lot of like Lovecraft.
No.
So when Color of Space came out, I said I need to watch this. You don't get a lot of like underwater horror
Yeah, it's true.
because that's hard to do. And then, but you know who tries it a lot? B movies.
It's true. I saw Bubba Hotep. Did you ever see that?
I know what it is, and I've seen some clips.
I
It's got my boy in it.
Yeah, I saw Bubba Hotep at the theater with Bruce Campbell presenting back
nice.
in 2002. I want to say it was. And he was asked like, why does he do these schlocky movies? And he says he seeks them out because if he's going to do fiction movies, he wants to do something that's going to be unique and takes a chance and isn't your standard movie over and over and over again.
Right.
And so that's what he likes about B movies and why he was in them and stuff. And if you haven't seen Bubba Hotep, that is a weird movie about a man who believes he is a 69-year-old Elvis stuck in a West Texas rest home who befriends a black man played by Ozzie Davis who is convinced that he is JFK, dyed black, as they fight a mummy who's sucking souls out of people's butts. And it isn't a comedy. It is a self-serious horror film about aging people.
The critter on me.
I saw it.
Yeah, I love Bruce Campbell,
And he's so good in it.
which makes me go, you telling me that he doesn't like to do, big budget blockbusters?
Yeah.
That's probably why he didn't do Uncharted, which is the perfect role for him because that man is him
Yeah.
in the game, and it makes me so mad watching Mark Wahlberg ruin my life.
Yeah, I never played that game, but even I was like, that movie was, I couldn't believe how successful that movie was.
Without Bruce Campbell.
Without Bruce Campbell, Nathan Fillion would have been a good choice too. But
For the man that I want Bruce Campbell to play, Nathan Fillion wouldn't have worked. But Mark Wahlberg definitely didn't work
yeah,
for me personally.
he was the worst part of the movie.
This one is not a horror movie,
Okay.
and it's kind of like a documentary. What are those movies called when they're not documentaries, but they're like...
Mockumentary?
No, it's not making fun of one. It's based on true story,
Okay.
but it's pretty close to what happened.
Okay.
Devil's Knot.
I haven't seen that. I can picture the cover though.
Yeah, the director of that movie directed some other movies that I liked, and I had them written down, and I don't remember what one was. But That's about the West Memphis 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
And they fluff it up a little bit, and they keep it pretty close to what happened. And I genuinely, that's one of the movies I really like, and it's one that will make you so mad at the justice system.
Yeah.
Or like small towns hating people for being different. And it has like Reese Witherspoon, that guy that played the Green Goblin's kid in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Dane DeHaan?
Yeah.
Dane DeHaan?
Has some people. And I'm like, that's a good movie. The only reason I found it, that's what Netflix is good for.
Yeah.
Before now, when they only show me the same 5 things. They would show you movies that were like, not necessarily popular, but not like hot garbage.
Yeah, I get that. I saw a lot of good things through Netflix.
Did you ever watch Shrooms?
No, I've seen the cover for that one though. And
that one's good too.
Is it good?
Yeah, that's about. So Shrooms is about. I haven't seen it in like 10 years, so forgive me if I'm wrong, viewers. Yell at him in the comments. I'm pretty sure like it's this group of people that go in the woods and they're trying to get mushrooms.
Yeah.
To like get high, and they take them, and then like a bunch of horrible things start happening in the woods. And then you watch it, and then at the end you decide what happens. But they tell you what happens. But it's interesting because like these people are they tripping balls? Is there really something in the woods? Like
interesting.
It's really good.
It has a great cover. Like a genuinely good.
Yeah, it's like a mushroom with a skull. I mean,
yeah,
a skull
it's
or whatever.
great.
Yeah, that's a good movie. It's fun to watch. Definitely one you should watch.
Did you ever watch the Poughkeepsie tapes?
No.
So it's a faux documentary, but it is one of the scariest horror movies of the past like 20 years.
Okay.
And it's just chronicling this serial killer's like path through Poughkeepsie, New York, and this killer obviously doesn't exist in real life, but the way that they film it and stuff, it's fully believable as a true crime documentary. And they have interviews with a person who has like the Helsinki syndrome, or what do they call it? I know it as Helsinki syndrome. Other people know it as, what does Belle have in Beauty and the Beast, or everybody says she's got, where she
bestiality?
Where she falls in love with her captor.
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. I know it as Helsinki syndrome. Everybody else knows it as Stockholm syndrome. So, like, they keep having this interview with this woman who was held captive for like over a year by this guy, and it's some of the most unsettling imagery. It's a brilliant faux documentary.
What's it called? The Poughkeepsie tapes?
The Poughkeepsie tapes. Yeah, and I think it's streaming on either Hulu or Tubi, one of those things.
Okay.
But I saw it. It like opened at Sundance or one of those like film festivals with acclaim. It was well regarded, but nobody bought it. It didn't get picked up, so it became this lost movie for years and years. And then finally, about 4 years ago, they released it on Blu-ray. Finally got a distribution release, and then after that happened, it started showing up on Tubi and Freevee and things like that. So,
you know, a movie got a lot of awards. That's a B movie that I thought was hot garbage, and also was in French.
What?
Titane.
Titane is a masterpiece.
No, it isn't. It's a masterpiece of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Say what you will about that movie, you will be able to talk about it for the rest of your life.
I know.
In interesting and intellectual ways.
You're right. That's why I won awards. That's probably because it's upsetting. It's just mean. If you want to hear our review on that, I have the Burn Down and Leave review. And
I'll post it down below in the comments, and then I also have a review on my channel from back in the day. I was talking about that with Jay, the bartender, yesterday.
Yeah, he went. Paris made him watch it, and then he got mad at me.
That's amazing.
I'm like, I didn't tell you to watch it. I told you not to watch it.
I also had a hand, and so did Keanu, in getting him to watch that movie.
And I'm the one getting yelled at.
Yeah, he didn't yell at me.
Stay Alive?
God, is that with Frankie Muniz?
Yep.
Oof. The only thing I remember from that movie is he has one line delivery that made me laugh out loud to the point where I had to pause the movie. And he was supposed to be very excited. And he just exclaimed with so much passion, "Goddamn sweet!" And I had to stop the movie. I couldn't continue on. I was at like a party with people watching it, and we couldn't control ourselves after that. His vigor.
He was good in that movie.
He's not a bad actor.
I agree.
Yeah.
That movie is interesting, and it matched the gameplay for the PS2, which is what it was.
Yeah.
But man, if you die in the game, you die for real. And I think that's a fun movie to watch. It's definitely a
rewatch it.
It's fun. It's not like the best movie ever, but it's an interesting story that doesn't get made often, and the premise makes sense. It's the same level of not making sense as how the Ring tape gets distributed.
Yeah.
How does the game get distributed?
Yeah.
Who cares? Ghost did it. Whatever. It's fun.
That got me thinking of the rabbit hole of a lot of horror movies from that time, which were supposed to be mainstream movies.
All from Dimension Films.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Wes Craven is my favorite filmmaker. Did you ever watch Cursed?
No.
Oh, gotta watch Cursed. He does for Scream and slasher films. He does his take on werewolf movies.
Okay.
And it is so clever and so fun and funny and incredibly cringy because there's a really weird homosexual subplot.
Okay.
That has not aged well, but with some of the most mainstream actors you can find. And it's shocking and amazing, and I love that movie so much.
It's called Cursed?
Just
like,
Cursed.
Not like Curse apostrophe D?
No, Cursed.
Okay.
And Wes Craven disowned the movie, didn't even do a commentary for it because the Weinsteins came in and they fucked around with it a lot. They completely eliminated Skeet Ulrich from the movie.
That's a good name.
Skeet.
Yeah.
Skeet. He was in the first Scream. He played Billy. But yeah, Cursed. Watch Cursed. Cursed is fucking good time.
Well, we talked about the other day, me trying to figure out this movie I made up, that I thought I made up, but it was a real movie.
Yeah.
Pulse.
Pulse.
I like that movie.
Did you watch the one with Kristen Bell or the original Japanese?
Kristen Bell one.
Wes Craven wrote that movie.
Yep, that's why I thought of it.
Yeah.
Well, not because I also was thinking about it.
That's why you started talking about Stay Alive, and then I just remembered briefly that came out around the same time as Pulse, which is why I started thinking of Cursed.
Perfect.
So, there we go.
Pulse is a good movie. It's a good premise.
I like Pulse.
And you know what, though? All those movies that came out between 2000 and 2006 are remakes of Japanese movies.
Yeah, Japanese or Korean.
Oh, yeah, so
no,
Korean.
Like,
yes.
no difference. It's either of those two. That's
Yep.
it.
But they did make the sequels, and that Pulse 3 movie is exactly what I remembered. The beginning
Interesting.
and the end. Because I didn't watch it again.
Interesting.
But I'm happy that it was real. You know?
I liked Pulse. I should rewatch that one.
I watched about 10 seconds of Pulse 3 again. It is 100% green screen.
Oof.
And bad green screen.
Why was that a thing in horror? Not the green screen, the remaking of the Japanese. Like, obviously, The Ring was popular, and so then they were like, "What other movies do they have? They have Grudge. Let's just remake Grudge." And Shudder, was that one of them?
Was Shudder? One Miss
Call?
Call was an American movie, I thought, and that was a remake.
I thought that one was Shudder. I know was a Japanese.
Yeah, that's just the camera obscura again. Everything's always the camera obscura.
I thought One Missed Call was also a.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. What's the one where they call from inside the house?
When a Stranger Calls.
Okay,
that was a remake of
of
a movie from the 70s.
One Missed Call has like that alien on the cover. It's like
Oh
white
yeah,
face.
yeah.
I've never seen that one, so I don't know if it's an alien.
It's not an alien. It's not very good though.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
thing I
always
didn't
a
answer the
ghost.
phone then.
It's a ghost with a grudge. That's what it is.
No, that's the Grudge.
That is the grudge. That's Ju-on.
So yeah, the reason why they made that is because The Ring made a ton of money in America, and then The Grudge made a ton of money in America. But those
I
are
like the grudge.
those two are the biggest movies in Japan for horror.
Yeah.
They even have a fight where it's Sadako versus
I saw.
Kayako.
I just added that to my Amazon
Yeah.
queue. That's gonna be one of the ones I watch for the month.
What's the Grudge girl's name? Kayako.
Something like
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But yeah, so they have like 100 movies in Japan. All the Ring movies, they all end badly.
Yeah.
America has to make it have a semi-happy ending, or at least ambiguous. In Japan, it's like, this house killed you, and then they're dead. That's the end of it. The ghost got you. Quit going in this house. It's too much hair.
Did you ever see House?
No.
It's a horror film from the 70s. It's a Japanese movie. It's part of the Criterion Collection. It is a weird-ass horror movie. All the characters are females that are impossibly beautiful young women that just have names like Cherry and Babyface, and it sounds like
naming people from the movie, that stupid Zack Snyder movie.
Yes, totally. That's probably where he got the idea. But I can't express how good that movie is. It's Japanese Evil Dead.
Okay. It's called House.
It's just called House or Hosu.
I can't think of another Japanese movie that got remade that I thought was good.
No, none of them are good. Shudder was so bad that while I was watching it, I was like, I can do better than this. So I went home and started writing a horror novel that night, back in 2007 or whatever. And I just finished it this past year.
Good.
So it's 500 and some odd pages, but
Listen, if a bad horror movie got you into getting some work done, all for it. I had no interest in Shudder because I immediately thought of Fatal Frame.
Oof, yeah.
And whatever movie. Oh, and then the Haunted Mansion that just came out was ripping off Fatal Frame too.
It's
Well,
a
as
good
well,
game.
not the
How come
second
they
one.
haven't made that into a movie?
They did. It's called Shudder.
Fair
Why?
enough.
Because it's not very. It's the premise doesn't work unless you're playing a game. Really.
They could make it for for Netflix for one of their interactive ones.
I
Choosing an
guess.
adventure. Movie pitch. We're gonna do movie pitches next.
Before we do movie pitches, I do want to talk about these aren't B movies, and they're not even movies. But YouTube has some serious horror stuff going on right now,
Yeah.
and it's like genuinely good to watch.
Okay.
To the point where I spent the last 2 months only watching these things. One of them is gone in my head, but the premise is these people start Everyman Hybrid is what it's called.
Okay.
It's just this series, and it starts off as these guys are starting a fitness channel,
Okay.
and then the Slender Man is in the background.
Okay.
And then they're like, just kidding. We just put him in there for funny. But then weird shit actually starts happening. And it's not necessarily the Slender Man. And it's like this really long running series. It's 3 guys. It's incredibly in depth. It is worth watching. It's like better than a movie. And it's like, there's serious acting. They do some stuff with the camera that with no budget at all. And then they use Twitter a lot, and they send stuff in the mail, or they bury stuff in the woods. And if I live by where they live, and I saw their tweet and I found what they were looking for, whatever that thing was in there, I could either not show to anybody or upload it to Twitter, and then it becomes part of the story.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Everyman Hybrid. Then there's this analog horror series, The Winter of '83. Just look up analog horror in general.
Okay.
A lot of it, the Gemini, I think it's called the Gemini Project or something. These are just YouTube things. A lot of these are written by people that are screenwriters.
Yeah.
But they're not making a movie, and then they just make a YouTube series. And analog horror is alternate pasts.
Yeah.
So it's filmed on videotape, but it's okay. One of them is called The Monument Mythos, about how monsters live in our monuments. So like the Statue of Liberty is secretly in a monster's like den. And it's like interesting. Like the Lincoln has like a Lincoln watcher because they're making sure that the Lincoln Monument doesn't come to life, and all this crazy stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, analog horror. Definitely look into that because if you like horror movies, this gets super in depth, and it's free, and it's on YouTube, and there could be hours of entertainment.
There's a lot of good short films on YouTube. Like if every Halloween, I always try to watch. Independent filmmakers short horror subjects on YouTube, and there's some really good stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get movies like Lights Out, is because Lights Out was a really good short horror film.
Yeah.
And they gave him a shot at making the big budget thing, and now he's making Shazam movies until he got until he didn't.
Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Yeah.
Got a TV show off of their little tiny series.
Yeah.
And it's just these film students that did that. That's super interesting too.
Yeah.
Then you ever watch those infomercials on Adult Swim?
Yeah.
They have there's two specifically, and it's called Wham City Comedy is the name of the group that made them. And so one of them is called Unedited Footage of a Bear.
Yeah.
And it's about like this allergy medicine and all the side effects that it has, and like it's about like what happens to you if you get addicted to it. But it's also more than that because you watch it, and if you like see that they put a phone number, or you see they have a website on there, if you go to those websites, it adds more content. And the other one is called There Are People in This House, I think it's what's called. And there's over 2 hours of additional content you can find on the website. And then there's alternate videos about a man that says that you could get Lynx disease, and it's all in this thing. It's like this crazy weird stuff. You can watch individual frames. That's super good. And have you ever heard of Alan Tutorial?
Yeah.
So that one of the guys that makes that is Alan from Alan Tutorial.
Interesting.
Alan Resnick.
Okay.
And so he did 3 infomercials. He did Alan Tutorial. He did. They have a few different things. So Wham City Comedy is something you should definitely look into.
That's cool. I dig it. Last question. Did you see Skinamarink?
No, that's on my list.
I think you'd hate it, but I'm just curious.
So there's this YouTube channel called Wendigoon that I
Yeah.
listen to, and he said it was good.
I liked it.
That seems interesting to me. Why do you think I'd hate it?
It's it's the most art house horror movie, and so it's there's characters in the house, you don't know their names outside of mom, dad, and then the kids. You don't know what they look like. You never see what they look like, and it's just uninterrupted shots. It's just so you get to know the house. The house is the main character.
Okay.
And so they'll just have a static shot of a floorboard for 60 uninterrupted seconds, and you're hearing what's happening in the background, and then it'll cut to shot down a long dark hallway, and you can see people moving around and stuff. But the hallway is the subject of that scene, and then
sounds like something I don't like because I don't like waiting for things.
it's 90 minutes straight of atmosphere and ambience. Mm-hmm. I think you'd hate it, but I loved it. It does have one of the best jump scares I have ever experienced in my life.
I'll watch it then. One more analog horror, the Mandela Catalog.
Okay.
You would love it.
I'm going to research some of this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I got, other than Rubber.
Rubber. Rubber is a great thing to end on.
Yes.
Rubber, if you're unfamiliar, is about a tire.
It's alive.
It's alive. It's psychic. People blow up. Did you ever see? So, second to last thing. Did you see? Oh God, what was it called? It was Spontaneous.
I don't think so.
It is one of my favorite movies of 2020. I thought it should have been nominated for Best Original Screenplay, or Adapted Screenplay. I think it's based on a book. But it's a cute teen romance, not unlike Fault in Our Stars kind of thing, and whatnot. The only difference is that people are suffering en masse from spontaneous human combustion, and they just explode into just blood bags, and it's just so like they'll be in their high school in English class, and then suddenly Jimmy just and blood sprays everywhere.
No real rhyme or reason. It just happens.
It's just a airborne illness event thing, and it just happened to come out around COVID, so it was like perfectly timed. I think it stars Catherine Langford from 13 Reasons Why and Knives Out. She's a great actress. It's really genuinely good teen romance with suddenly people just exploding into the most gore you could ever see.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I had one more too.
Okay, last.
The Langoliers.
I've never watched it. I'm reading all of Stephen King's things, and that's coming up pretty soon.
I watched it on Sci-Fi Channel, so it's the edited, crappy version.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, and that bothered me a lot, because I was just like, what does happen to the past when you're gone?
Yeah.
Past it. And I don't know. That's genuinely. I don't know if that was a made-for-TV or actually came in the theater.
It was a made-for-TV movie.
Stephen King movies that are made for TV, almost all of them are almost theater quality.
A lot of them are good.
Yeah.
At the very least, I think It is pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider if I didn't know that it was a TV movie, I would have assumed that first one that came out was a theater movie, and people were terrified.
Yeah.
I don't think The Langoliers is that scary. I just think it's interesting.
It has really bad CG monsters, right?
The Langoliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
I think that's the only thing that hasn't aged well about it. It's oftentimes on people's lists of like the worst CG of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a TV movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Sci-Fi Channel hasn't upgraded their CGI past that. It's still the most recent sci-fi movie CGI is what the Langoliers CGI is.
I'm a Star Trek fan. I can handle bad special effects. Like I'm perfectly okay.
Yeah, it's definitely from its time.
Yeah.
That's another flaw with the Power Rangers, the first movie.
Yeah.
Which is not the name of that movie because I keep combining that with Pokemon. But
Mewtwo versus Mew.
Yeah. The CGI is really awful.
Yes, I remember that. I also, my stance, and I said this during my Flash review, is bad special effects don't bother me. I can't do special effects. Anything they can do is better than I can do. What I can do and what I do know is I have a background in writing. I know how to structure narrative. So if something's bad narratively, I'm willing to add it, but I'm not going to attack visual effects, even if they look like Matrix quality.
I mean, I tried making like a sprite for a video game once.
Yeah.
Didn't come out good.
See, I've never heard you attack digital effects.
I won't say I'll ever do it right, but I will say, like, man, for how much money you put into something, you should have put it into this. But yeah, you're right. I don't think I really attack the effects. Because if you know how much it costs, I understand that they can't afford to do it better.
Yeah.
What's nice now is that the future is here, and a lot of this stuff is a lot easier to make. Not saying that AI should be used, because that's bad.
I agree.
The technology has gotten a lot easier to handle, where you don't need to actually know how to code.
Yeah.
You can make it a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of my B movies.
Thanks for watching. If you wish to watch or listen to any of his, there's a screaming child. Any of his podcasts, it's from Burn It Down and Leave. I'll leave a link to those in the comment or the description box down below.
Heck yeah. And yeah, Burn Down and Leave is my podcast. He's been on a few episodes. One of them, Titane, that we spoke about.
Mortal Kombat as well.
We did Mortal Kombat. We did some of your favorites, Justice League. But yeah, so he's been on a few episodes. I say this every time I'm on here. I'm going to start working on it again. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to start working on them again. So
I hope you do. I genuinely love listening to those.
Well, I'm starting working on it again. So my desk is back up. My computer works. Maybe I'll plug it in this time.
Sounds good. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And leave in the comments down below, what are some of your favorite B movies? And if you stuck all the way to the end, let me know that down in the comments too. I'll give you a shout out in my next video.
Heck yeah.
Peace.